Hello, and welcome to the Diary of the Pan-African Preacher. There is an African proverb that says, "Welcome the stranger, but keep your eyes open." Psalms 120 and verse 6 reads, "I am tired of living among people who hate peace." As the Pan-African Preacher, I approached the 2026 France-Africa Summit held on the 11th and 12th of this month, May, not simply as a political or economic gathering, but as a moment where theology, history, power, and African destiny intersect. The African proverb reminds us that hospitality must never replace vigilance. Likewise, the psalmist's lament teaches that peace cannot exist where domination hides behind the language of partnership. Hosting the 2026 France-Africa Summit presents Kenya with undeniable opportunities to strengthen its economic, diplomatic, and geopolitical influence. Officially branded Africa Forward, Africa-France Partnerships for Innovation and Growth. The summit brought together African presidents, investors, multinational corporations, innovators, and global institutions in Nairobi. It was also the first France-Africa Summit held in an English-speaking African country, signaling Kenya's growing continental influence. Yet, Pan-African consciousness demands a hermeneutic of suspicion. France does not come to Africa untouched by history. It arrives carrying the legacy of colonialism, extraction, military intervention, cultural domination, and economic systems that historically enriched Europe while impoverishing Africa. The language of partnership must therefore be examined carefully, because too often the colonizer changes vocabulary without surrendering power. Economically, Kenya stands to benefit from billions of euros in proposed investments in energy, agriculture, artificial intelligence, infrastructure, and technology. Kenyan entrepreneurs and startups may gain partnerships and access to global capital, while Nairobi's status as a continental business hub could grow significantly. Yet Pan-Africans must still ask difficult questions. Who controls these investments? Who owns the technology? Who profits from the infrastructure? Will African labor and resources once again enrich European economies while Africans remain consumers rather than producers? Diplomatically, Kenya gains prestige by hosting more than 30 African heads of state alongside French President Emmanuel Macron. President William Ruto also strengthens his profile as a continental statesman. Yet prestige without sovereignty is dangerous. Africa must avoid becoming a stage where foreign powers compete for influence while Africans celebrate symbolic recognition without structural transformation. France's deeper engagement with East Africa also reflects changing geopolitical realities. After losing influence in parts of West Africa, where younger generations increasingly reject French dominance, Paris now seeks renewed legitimacy elsewhere on the continent. Kenya must therefore discern whether this summit represents genuine cooperation or merely a softer rebranding of neo-colonial influence. Ultimately, Kenya must approach this summit with wisdom, courage, and historical memory. Africa should welcome dialogue, investment, and cooperation that never at the cost of dignity, sovereignty, or self-determination. The Pan-African vision calls us not merely to host the world, but to shape the future on African terms. Ashe.